Good evening, everybody. Can I make a motion to open the Parks and Recreation meeting for June 1st tonight?
I'll second.
Thank you. We're going to try to move through the other items quickly so we can get to the code violation items. So first, can we approve the minutes from our May meeting last month? Did everybody get a chance to read them?
Come on, tell the truth. Did you read them all 4 pages?
I did
you?
a while ago.
I did.
Can I make a motion to approve the May minutes?
I'll second.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
We good?
Yep, that's everyone, Tina. Tim, did you say aye? Because I can't see you.
Yes, that was me. Yep.
Okay. Yep, all approved.
Okay, great. Thank you. So one important thing from last meeting, Jerry had suggested that we create a subcommittee to help Jason upgrade the website. So I don't know if maybe 2 people, I don't know. Nora, how does that usually work?
It needs to be less than a quorum, so you can, so you can meet and then you can report back. And 2 or 3, it probably should be somebody who has kind of technical abilities. And I'm happy to.
Brittany offered, right, Brittany?
Yeah. Is your office still open, Brittany?
Yes.
And I don't know if anybody else, that's my expertise.
2 people's probably enough, and I'm happy to be, if you need a liaison, I'm happy.
Do you know, Nora, what they use? Like, is it Wix or what, what program they use?
No, we'd have to.
We have a municipal, it's Civic Plus. We have a municipal site that we use. So we have to, we'll talk about all that, but it's not something that I edit, or I can edit. It's something that's done through some sort of municipal website company that does all sorts of municipal. I think it's called Civic Plus.
Right.
So we're looking to actually design it, but then we send it out to somebody to do it, or we make those changes ourselves?
I don't think we'd be making changes ourselves, this little group. I think it's working with Jason and his staff to figure out what we need to enhance the website. It just occurs to me that that's not something Jason can do over the summer.
No, this has got to be September. Like I said,
I can help too. So I work with other websites.
Like, I'm thinking we're probably not going to meet until September. This is not something that should or could be undertaken in the summer months.
Okay, you can sign me up for that if that's okay.
Okay, so I have Brittany, Cindy, and then Nora. Okay, thank you.
And Jason, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Jason and Jeff, do you have quick updates that you want to do, or?
Sure. Threw me for a loop there, Tina. I usually do them at the end. I'm kidding.
I know.
So I'll just do a quick update. Thank you. This is not really a recreation thing. I'd just like to thank Jeff and the DPW because our park is paved. The lines are getting painted, this week. So it's beautiful to see a freshly paved Harlem Park. So thank you to everyone, including our trustees and village manager, for approving the project. So day camp is beginning June 27th. I was a little late because I had parent orientation for the younger grades, 7 p.m. So I hopped off a little early to come to this. So that's going well. It's full. We have 330 campers and 67 staff members per camp. So that's going well. The beach is open. We had a tremendous holiday weekend. The Saturday, not so much, but Sunday and Monday were tremendous. It was really, really busy. The beach was, and it was nice. We sold a lot of passes and a lot of daily tickets and a lot of parking and boating, and it was a lot of fun. So So that went well. We have our first movie night coming up next Friday. Soul is the movie, and that will be in the Harbor Island Park. We're working with One Mamaroneck on a Juneteenth event that's going to be in Columbus Park on June 18th. So that's coming up in June. Fireman's Carnival, 4th of July, Arts Council movie, Arts Council concerts, Emlyn Theater concerts, tennis clinics we're doing, kayaking programs, SUP programs, adult softball, adult volleyball, all the sports permits, obviously on the field. So there's a lot going on in my life, and I'm sure I'm missing a few things. So, thank you.
I have a super quick question, Jason, about the sub programs. I saw that was like pretty limited compared to the last couple of years. Was that just like due to popularity, or?
That's due to instructor difficulties.
Okay.
If anyone knows a great sub instructor, send them my way, because I have one that's very limited on time and it's not the easiest thing to find.
Gotcha.
Okay. And I'm pretty, so you could find a sub instructor, but I want to find a sub instructor that's qualified to teach sub, meaning they have the certifications, and that's very, very difficult. And we pay well, so, but I only could do what I could do in terms of the instructor, but if I have more, I will add more, because they're still going to sell out. I know it, so.
Yeah, I was interested in the Sunset one, but I was like, oh, it's this weekend. I don't know if I can get a babysitter, but yeah. All right. Anyways, we don't have to talk about it too long because I know we're short on time, but thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a quick question about the camp? Is there any openings for kids to come? I have a couple of friends that are asking about the camp, and I told them it was sold out, but is there a wait list?
Even the wait list is closed. Like, I just have an email, like 30 something people about it, mostly non-residents, because we pretty much only took residents this year. But yeah, we're full based off the stats that I could get and the indoor facilities. I wish I could take every single kid that wants to come, but until we get a building that can handle it,
Okay, thank you. And the pavement looks great.
Yeah, it's good. It's really
the parking lot looks nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Paving's all done now, right, Jason? They just have to paint the lines?
Yeah, just paint. They got to paint the lines. So, but the milling and asphalt are done. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll make mine super quick. Cutting grass. We just planted 36 trees. We had the blacktop and paving going on down at the harbor, painting the lines now. We're assisting Jason with cleaning the beach every morning with our new tractor and beach rake. We're waiting on 3 donation benches and 2 swing donation benches. So we'll have that install coming up. We're doing fields every day, softball fields, soccer fields, and that's about it.
Great. Anybody have questions for Jeff?
And cutting grass until your nose bleeds, like you can't keep up with the grass cutting. That alone is
growing so fast with all this rain.
So fast.
And fertilized properly and seeded. Great job, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah, the plantings down at Janunzio look great. Everybody's talking about them on Washington Street in Madison, so we appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you.
Jason, what is the item that says Harbor Island Athletic Fields? Was that the meeting I went to?
Yes.
All right, well,
but that might be, Tina, let's hold that, because that's going to be I really want to get to the code stuff, because I know.
Oh, that's why I'm asking. Yeah, no, we can wait on that.
Okay.
Okay, so now the code violations in the village parks. Tim, do you want to get us started, or Jason, did you?
Yeah, it's up to you. I can start, or if Jason wants to jump in, it's up to you.
So I'll just give like a brief synopsis on the backup. So I just compiled everything that I had from different comments from the PRC, Mr. O'Connor's comments on the what happened on the Clean and Green Day, and I just put that there so everyone, like, if you read through it, kind of gets what's going on before, so we can get into discussion about all these quality of life issues that the residents complain about. So that's just my brief synopsis on the backup, and then Mr. O'Connor and you guys can have the discussion, and myself, Jeff, we're here to listen and
All right,
assist.
great.
So.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Jason. I'll just start. So there's 14 parks off the website that reside in the village of Mamaroneck. I'm going to just talk about a few on the Washingtonville area. There's 4 parks. We have Columbus, Janunzio, you have Bubba Walker, and you have Pepys Memorial Park. They're just all within a mile of the train station. 2 of the parks, I'm going to say right off the bat, we have issues. Okay, Bub Walker and Pepys Memorial Park. The issues with Bub Walker, as the residents on Grand Street in Madison, Washington, all know that after 10 p.m. on summer days, warm days between April and November, people tend to hang out and drink, smoke, and all that stuff in the park. I will fish in the agenda topic afterwards, the code violations. So that's what goes on at Bub Walker.
Is Bub Walker where the bocce court is?
Yes, that's on Grand Street in between Grand and on Plaza Avenue. Yep, exactly. And so then we have Pepys, right? Pepys is Bub Walker issue on steroids. Always during the day, there's open containers, alcohol there, continuous cigarette smoking, dogs in the park. And during the summer months, the village goers or the village park visitors that are there don't leave before 10 p.m. at night. And that holds true with Bub Walker. So how do I bring in the code violations? Well, this is what's going on. We need support from the Village Mamaroneck Police Department, as well as the park rangers, to come around on a regular basis to supervise, manage, and actually close the park down at 10 p.m. During the day, we need visible supervision. We need visible, optics from the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department, as well as the park rangers, to come around and investigate and take a look. Just drive around the neighborhood, show a presence. That's what we're looking for down here. What does that really mean? Well, that means that you may have to, question the people that's smoking in the park. They're actually drinking in the park. Give them a summons. Bring to light that what they're doing is not accepted. It's a code violation. A year ago, before I was assigned to this committee, we had a meeting with the chief. So the chief knows what's going on. This is nothing new. This has been going on for years. And so now we're at a point where things came to a boil on the 14th. Before I get into the 14th, I just want to remind everybody, I just sent an email out about April 6th. There's the summer slide program going on in Pepys Park, okay? It sounds like they're going to move forward with that. And so now I'm going to bring in what happened on May 14th. May 14th, what happened down there was a bunch of volunteers who got harassed by park goers that were hanging out in the park, harassing the volunteers during the whole day there trying to clean up the park. It's disgusting. We were harassed. We were victimized down there during the day, mid-afternoon on Saturday. I don't know if you guys know the history of Pepys Park, but it's not pleasant. We definitely need the Village Mamaroneck Police Department down there on a regular basis. And like I said, the Parks Department just to supervise down there. Thank God that I was able to call 911 and the Village of Mamaroneck came down, the police department came down in a timely manner. It was awesome. They do their jobs superbly. We didn't have any problems with that. It's just that it's the constant 10 p.m. park goers that like to hang out till 11, 12 at night. It's the park goers that visit the Village Mamaroneck parks that have open containers, that bring the dogs. That's the issue right there. It's a quality of life. It's impacting the residents down here that are using the parks. Okay, they were being harassed. Last year, I know for a fact that Jeff and Jason's crew were down there. They had been escorted into Papes Park to do their job because of what's going on down there with Papes Park. Here it is a year later. We have an issue, like I said, on May 14th, where we were all victimized and harassed. And so I'm just bringing it to light to this committee on what's going on down here in Washingtonville. Upsettingly, I heard from two people on this issue. I heard from Trustee Young, who called me. I had a 20-minute discussion with him, and Carlo Recca on his experience with the park down here, living in the area. So what do we do about the code violations? Well, you know what? I think it's time for the folks to hand out violations in these parks, okay? If you can't do it, give them a verbal warning, you know, or tell them to leave the park, or give them a summons. Either one of three would work. Like I said, I'm just bringing it to the committee here. I think maybe it's our job to, I don't know, investigate, or to help to manage. I don't know what direction we need here, but it's getting to the point where Papes and Bubba Walker is actually quality life impacting the community. And so I'm kind of done with my speech, talk, discussion. I'd like to hear your feedback about what's going on in these parks.
So can I speak up, Tina?
Go ahead, Carla.
So there were three community meetings. I was able to attend the first one, and it wasn't only the residents, the Shark Tank. I think he's the owner. He was there as well, and he's got a very good business there. It's viable, and his customers were getting also harassed. And his parking lot is, he was saying the parking lot is disgusting and so on and so forth. And then historically, there's always been issues down there. There's plenty of drug dealings also that take place there. If you live in the area or you know about the area, it takes place. And it's always been a problem, but now it's becoming a real issue. So the first meeting I was able to attend, Tim was there, Sandy, chief, and two lieutenants, I believe, another patrol officer. And all the people in the room heard what I said. Are your hands tied? And they said, yes. And that is wrong. I can understand initially giving them a warning. After 10 o'clock, there's no barbecuing and no loud music or dog fighting. And then maybe circle around in 15, 20 minutes or half an hour. It's the same individuals. Get out of your car and you give them a violation, a summons. They can't do that. I wasn't able to attend the last two meetings because I was away. But it's just getting really, really bad. And I know that the police department is making certain changes. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, because we had discussions about more lighting. We also had discussions about putting up cameras, but that's been a discussion for the last 5 years when Augie Fusco got robbed on Chase on Boston Post Road. So we do need cameras. It helps the police department. It's just, they need to address it. And, I know that the police department is short on staff, but they can easily circle around that area every hour easily because they come up and down my street on a regular basis. They can easily go around that area. Visibility and able to do their job.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Carlo, when you say first of all, who did you ask, are your hands tied to?
The police officer.
And who are their hands being tied by?
The people behind them, they told me.
People behind them?
Yep. We're in the courthouse and it was a board of trustees.
So you're saying the board of trustees is basically telling the police that don't enforce the code?
No, I don't know what the discussion is because I'm not in that room.
Right.
But I asked, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong. Jimmy, I think you're there too. I asked them and they said, our hands are tied. And I said, by the people behind you, we're in the courthouse and that's where the trustee and the mayor is.
Well, to me, and maybe I'm naive in thinking this way. This is something that the community, the people who are being directly affected, especially, but the remainder of the community as well, have to rally and go to a board meeting and get a direct answer from the Board of Trustees as to why are the police telling us that their hands are tied in not being able to do their job to help protect the residents who live in these areas where the harassment is going on. Like, it just to me is so absurd that the police wouldn't be able to effectively do their job because for some reason someone's telling them not to. I mean, like, this just is the most ridiculous thing ever. Because who does it benefit to not be able to enforce the park closing and not be able to tell people, okay, here's your warning, park's closed, please leave. And if they don't leave, they need to be removed or they need to be ticketed or something. Like, why wouldn't the trustees or the board want that to happen?
But that's not only happening in the Village of Mamaroneck, it's also happening throughout the entire country right now. It's pretty sensitive.
So this was also an issue in Columbus Park, going back a couple years, that we were noticing people, well, like alcohol bottles along Columbus Park River, Mamaroneck River there, and just like a ton of garbage, and people like drunk in the park, and like in the evening, or families were telling me that they didn't like to go to Columbus Park even though they lived right on the park because they were nervous to be there at night. And I said, well, aren't there policemen? And they said, not really. They don't really want to go to the park anymore because it looks bad if they're getting people in trouble. But like, that is the job. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, this is what the police are doing, and we need to be enforcing the rules that are making our community safer. So like, I agree. I don't think we should just be arresting people left and right that aren't violating anything. I think that is possibly what the police are afraid of. I don't know, but I think we need to be enforcing the rules that are making our entire community safer for everyone.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but if I wanted to live in the city and have that kind of an environment, I'd live in the city. I don't expect that here where we live. Like, that's going on everywhere in the city. Like, police are, just standing down. Like, that shouldn't be happening here in our small little village. I don't know. I'm kind of like, my mind is kind of blown. And the fact that on green and clean day in the middle of the afternoon, people were getting harassed for trying to make the park better. And that just blows really, maybe I'm naive. It just blows my mind.
But you may want to talk to Jeff also and ask him about the incident that took place last year with the Parks Department, and how he got escorted. Well, not maybe Jeff at times. How many times I got escorted to that particular park?
Oh, last year I had two guys out picking up the garbage. They pick up garbage daily over in Paves Park, and they had a memorial set up. And usually I leave the memorial for a week or two out of respect because I understand what it's for. But there were some liquor bottles and some marijuana plants that we take. We don't leave the liquor bottles and plants out. We usually just leave the candles. The next time we visited the park, two of my guys were approached by a group of people, basically questioning who took the liquor bottles and the plant. They want to know names because next time they come to the park, there's going to be problems. So from that point on, instead of arguing with them, I just contacted the police. We didn't make a report because it wasn't the individual that it was geared to didn't want to make a report. He didn't want to make it bigger than it really was or how he felt it was. So for about 3 or 4 months, we had police escort into the park to make sure that, none of my guys were put in any kind of danger. Not that my guys were really worried. It's just I was trying to limit, how do I say this? I was trying to limit the exposure of my guys of even remotely being close to any kind of danger if anybody approached them in the park. After 3 or 4 months, a couple of the park goers came up to me. They're like, what's going on? And I'm like, listen, we're just trying to do our job. We're not, we understand it's a vigil, but you can't have the liquor bottles and the pot plants out in the open in a park. Like, we don't take your candles out of respect. We leave them up for a week or two, but you know, I can't have your guys going after my guys for doing their job. And after that, it kind of cooled down, and we stopped using the police escort, and we just go pick up the garbage, clean the park, and leave. We try and hit it earlier in the morning so there's less people in the park.
Hey, Tina, is there anybody that's raising their hand? Because I'm getting some text messages that there's a few online that may have their hand up that maybe want to.
I can't see that. Maybe Nora.
Laura, Laura and Jimmy are online, but they haven't raised their hand, but I can allow them to talk.
Well, why don't we first just, let the committee speak first?
Okay, well, let me know when you want me to. And then also our assistant building inspector is also online.
All right, great, thanks.
I just don't really understand what this sounds like. A problem that is like not something that we as the committee have any power to do anything. This to me sounds like something that the board and the police have to address. I mean, what can we do? Are you looking for like support from us to say this has to stop? 100%. Yes, it does. It sounds.
Harry, can I just say from like a Parks and Recreation staff perspective, we field a lot of these phone calls and complaints about these different issues that everyone's mentioned. It's not easy for us because we have no control over it. You know, like, this is not what we do. We aren't trained public safety officers. You know, it's, you know, we just want to, you know, whether it's cleaning up the garbage, making the parks beautiful, or running a program, you know, that's somebody else's responsibility. But yet, you know, it is in our parkland. So it's great that we're talking about it, but ultimately I think the board would have to send, you know, some sort of communication to the police department or to whomever you want to send it to make, you know, as one voice. Because ultimately, what is heads of our departments, being Jeff, supposed to do other than clean up the garbage, clean up the cigarette butts, clean up the alcohol, right? Post signs, we do that. Well, we're doing that, but what else are we supposed to do as staff on this? It's difficult for us.
Well, that's my point. I agree with you. Like, I don't know what we as Parks and Rec can do to help other than say, yes, something needs to be done and we're supportive of that, but it's not really out of our hands. And if the people whose hands it is are saying their hands are tied, I don't know how to respond to that. So going back to history and so forth, and this has been an ongoing issue and so forth, and we finally got park rangers who can oversee it. But the issue with that basically is they have to get like into the fields, like Harbor Island's pretty big, 44 acres, I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff or Jason. Right? So if they have to get like, and again, not on a rainy night like tonight where it damage the fields. And I've seen police officers, you know, on the perimeter basically, but that's what they need to do. They need to get out and they need to look. Yep. And then in addition, I know historically, and I've got 3 sons, and I was an idiot too when I was a teenager. At Florence Park, a couple of years, I don't know how long it was, and I'm sure it's an ongoing issue now. I'll never forget it. The kids are out there hanging with a good time. It maybe got loud. The entire police force seemed to be there that night to rally all the kids, every one of them. Normally, they would send 1 patrol car, 2. Most of the kids would get away and they just capture 2. But there were several times years ago where like they just flooded it. And because the neighborhood was upset, and they addressed it. So I don't think, you know, Papes should be treated any differently. The Washingtonville area, you know, we're all equal. And this has been going on for years and years. And we've made all sorts of recommendations. The bike patrol, you know, circle, go down there. You know, rather than stopping at the bridge there, go down to Papes. You know, it's an area.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, an issue. And they say, no, staffing issue. You know, right now, if you look up Mamaroneck Avenue and all the construction, all the police officers at the intersections, they're all out.
That's overtime. That's different. I
understand that, Tina. I hear you.
Okay, I'm just going to say one thing. And full disclosure, my husband is a police officer in the village of Mamaroneck. And this is very upsetting to me because you do not understand what it's like to be a police officer unless you're wearing that uniform and doing that job.
And it's extremely hard.
It is very hard. And it's even harder when you're not backed. Okay.
Right.
And in this world we live in right now, no police anywhere are backed. And no matter what they do, it's going to come back on them. So if it was me, I wouldn't want to do it either.
Right.
Just keep that. I do understand, and I completely agree with everything you're saying. And I do not think it's right. This is happening, and it should be definitely been taken care of. But things need to change all around.
And I agree with you, Tina.
And the police are understaffed. They're in the process right now of hiring 4, where I think they actually need like 8 or 10 to cover what they're missing. But I don't want to say, I kind of wanted to abstain from this conversation because my husband is a police officer, but I just had to say that. So you guys can continue. I'm sorry.
And Tina,
don't apologize because, please don't take anything I've said as not in defense of the police, because I am 100% behind the police. I think it's awful if they're not being supported.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, that's not what I meant.
I know it's hard. It's hard for anybody to understand unless you've been there, is all I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Totally understand what you're saying. But my point is that they should be getting the support they need so that they can do their job. That's what I'm saying. Also, it's awful that they're not.
Also, history has also been, and this is many, many years ago when things were not as bad as they are now. The village had a lawsuit because police were harassing, because they were driving through Columbus Park too many times. So it's not, I don't know what can change, but it's not just what the police can do is what I don't know the answer.
And Tina, you know as well as I do, I've been living here forever, and I know I've known many officers. Most of them are homegrown, not recently, but in the past. So when you talk to them, it's really just upsetting and disturbing to me, frustrating, especially in today's environment. It's wrong. It's wrong. And no one's going to tell me anything differently.
Yeah, no, don't take me the wrong way. I'm not saying that anything.
I hear you.
I'm not offended by it. I just wanted to make you understand that it's more than that. And I'm going to stop talking.
Maybe as a collective group too, maybe you could send a letter to the board, let them know that we need more presence down here. This is all optics now. If we get more more police just, roaming the streets on a regular routine basis, get the bike cops down here, get the park rangers, just optics mean a lot because they're being looked at just in the area of a surveillance, doing a routine, from the police department. As a group, we could do different things for the park. We could change things around in the park. Take out the furniture. There you go. Think out of the box. It's harsh, but guess what? If you make things a little bit more not comfortable, people tend to leave. So those are some of the things you can do. Maybe, funding a park, like Papes, rearrange it. Do something a little different than there is now to make it not comfortable. But like I said, these are the issues that are coming down. May 14th, it was horrific. It was just unfortunate to see. I'm glad nobody got hurt. It got very close to it. Things got very heated, but that's just the fact of down here, what's going on. So I'm just, going to say my piece here and kind of walk away and let you guys discuss it. But again, I want to mention too, we heard the presentation from the high school kids talking about the summer slide, which is, something that they're going to roll out. Their safety is my concern because I have kids, and the kids that walk in and out of that park, I just want to make sure that they're able to walk in, roll out their project, walk out without even being harassed, and have a successful summer slide without any incident. And I'm praying that this happens.
Tim, is there going to be supervision for those kids? Are they going to have, a mentor or any adults?
From the presentation that they had here, It doesn't seem, they may have some adult supervision to help them down to set up the bookshelf there that they want to create and build and put in the park. It sounded like they were going to come in and out of the park by themselves. It wasn't mentioned at all that they were going to be supervised going in and coming out with the books, putting the books back, reestablishing the books, replenishing the books. That was never mentioned, a supervisor, supervision of an adult. I don't know, maybe it's time to do that. Maybe it's something that they need to do.
Nora, who is the contact for that? Do you know? Because I would almost suggest, I'm happy to email them. Like I
have their email addresses.
Like, because if co-op camp is going to be at MAS, they should just put it at MAS. Like, it would make more sense, because I don't know why they would.
I've been working with them for the pop-up library.
Yep.
And I brought some of these issues forward to them. And I forgot what they called the tests, but that was the park that they were stuck on in doing the pop-up library.
I think part of they didn't want to do it at Mamaroneck Avenue School because they wanted to have the kids go to a venue that wasn't the school to get the books. They felt that the kids were less likely to go to the school to get the books. They wanted to take it out of a school environment.
Yeah, I don't think they could have did it in the school because it's an outside of school program. Just like the little pop-up libraries in Columbus Park, and it's almost like the same thing. They're supposed to be doing something for the community.
Okay.
But besides the police presence and all that, I would like to make a suggestion. So in front of all of the other parks, there's no parking. There's no parking near an entrance to a park. There's no parking like Florence Park, 250 feet away from each entrance, basically. Everything's open. At Tapes, because of the bodega and then the people who live on Grand Street, they're parked all the way up to the corner. So when cars are parked in front of that park, you can't see in. It's very hard to see in. And it also creates a danger that if there is kids in the park and they're going across the street, they're going in between cars, bumpers, to try and cross the street to get to the other side of Old White Plains Road. So besides the police presence, I think maybe we could look at posting no parking in front of the park, like almost every other park in Mamaroneck.
I like
this
that
way,
idea.
It opens the park up. It doesn't keep it constrained behind cars and double park vans at using the corner store. It opens it up. So besides the police presence and besides everything else that we're talking about, cameras, lights, this and that, I think a good start to, I guess, go to the board with would be to get rid of maybe 3 parking spots on Grand Street and the 2 corner parking spots in front of the corner store to open that area up.
Does that have to go to the board, or can I just send an email from the Rec Commission to the Traffic Commission?
That I'm not sure on.
It may have to go to the board, but we don't meet for another 10 days. So I'd send it quickly. We meet the 13th because of the cycle. So it's often a little confusing about what traffic things have to get approved by the Board of Trustees. It doesn't seem linear to me.
I didn't know either. That's why I just said the board.
Yeah.
In my experience, I think it has to go to the Traffic Commission. Do they meet before you or after you?
I
think they usually meet a week after us.
Have to. I think it's worth sending it to both at the same time and figuring it out. It seems like if this is going to be a solution to make it safer to do this, to make it safer in general, but specifically there's a time frame for this summer slide project, maybe we can expedite. I'm going to look and see when they have their meeting.
I've sat on the Traffic Commission, so recommendations come in, you review it, you have discussions, you approve, disapprove, tweak it, and then it goes to the Board of Trustees, just like us. So as well, and they also have the final say on those decisions as well. So
I thought if we had,
the Board of Trustees
I think
has to have-
regardless, the letter should go to both. This way,
Yeah, I
the
can do
board
that.
is aware and the traffic commission's aware.
Their next meeting is the day after our next meeting, so I would send it to both. And, you know, I think the Board of Trustees could talk about it. You know, we can just make sure it gets unched up on the work session.
And do we know when that pop-up library, like what their first date of opening it is?
Late June, right?
If you give me a second, he just emailed me today. If you give me a second, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
You guys can continue.
I can
So,
put that
Tina,
in.
maybe when you send it, you know, say time is of the essence,
Right.
because we would really
Sure.
love to get this done before their opening.
Well, and I'll send a note and put it on, you know, just to Dan Sarnoff to make sure it's on the work session too.
Thank you.
I'll do that tomorrow. And I just want to say, you know, I've been on the Board of Trustees for now almost 4.5 years. We have never given the police direction to not do their jobs. I think it's just such a stressful time to be a police officer right now. I mean, you know, I think being like a police officer has one set of stresses, being a teacher has another set of stresses, and being a healthcare worker has another set of stresses. But I think that may be part of it. I don't think the Board of Trustees isn't supportive of the police. We have just been interviewing for new officers, and we are interviewing some more. And so that we will be back up to the full complement, which I think will make it much easier for staffing levels. But I don't think there's anybody on the Board of Trustees who wants to make life hard for our police officers in any way, shape, or form.
Is it possible for us to, like, I'm sure you all do this already, but like to work with the police department, like, I don't know if we could have them join one of our meetings and like talk to them directly, or like have a joint committee, like similar to what we're going to do with the website, or like some way to bridge the gap and work together and say like, hey, you know, the Parks Department is dealing with all these issues. We need your help with it. We want to make sure you feel supported, so that we're addressing this to make the community safer. Like, I mean, it's just communication, but I don't know how far that would go or if it would get us anywhere.
Well,
I agree. I think like lighting the park and making the park like generally more visible would have a lot. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
June 17th is the launch date that they're talking about now.
Oh, okay.
June 17th. School's still in session.
That's
Right.
quick.
Still in session.
That's what he told me.
So Brittany, going back to your comment, you know, Parks Department, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, or Jim, if you want to, and Lori, the community and the businesses have been screaming for years to address the issues that they have down there. The people who live in the area, the businesses that thrive there. And recently it's gotten so much worse than previous years. So for us to send a letter or voice our opinions, maybe they'll throw a bone and they'll pacify you and they'll stroke you and they'll say, yeah. And that's how it is. And that's the truth.
I think we also need to keep in mind all the other parks. I mean, I know this is a pressing issue, but I know we saw pictures of all the cigarette butts and all the other garbage and whatnot. I think it needs to be an overall discussion as well to better control all the parks.
Right. Like, Tina, this is unrelated to quality of life, but there's so many park rules being broken in terms of people using the park for financial gain without a permit. Like, I'm big on that because it's not fair, but that goes on all the time. And that's a village code violation that someone could be issued a summons for, but it's not that simple. All I know is as a staff member, when I pick up the phone to call the police desk or when I email the chief, one, the police will be down to the harbor in 30 seconds. Two, the chief will either pick up immediately or call me back within 10 minutes. We have a really responsive thoughtful police department. I will say, I will not speak on like writing summonses and paved park. Like that's not what I'm here to speak on. I would just say that from my perspective as department head, I couldn't ask more from what I need from the chief in terms of safety of my programs and things like that. But the issue that at hand is something completely different than, you know, as like a department head in what I feel. So.
Right. And I think too, like to Brittany's point, I think there is ongoing, like Jason, Jeff, and Nora communicate to the police department and to everybody what's discussed here. So I don't know if we can or need to do anything past that.
Well, I definitely will. I do think a letter about the parking, I think that's a really concrete good idea. I think that's that will make it easier.
Yes.
What's happening in parks. That's a very tough area in terms of not having enough parking. So that's going to have another neighborhood consequence. But I think, everything's a trade-off. Is it better to have the park more visible and to lose 5 spaces, or to keep the 5 spaces and have it? It may make it easier for the police to keep an eye if they have this.
Even just as a driver that drives through there often, it's a dangerous road to drive through.
Yes, it is.
with so much pedestrian traffic there. I'm also the head of Safe Routes to School, so it's something that I think about and talk about all the time. So I just, even without what's happening in the park, that area is just dangerous in general with too many cars and too many people walking.
And I would copy the police chief as well, because she may have on the parking. That may,
Okay.
You do have a guests who want to speak. Just want to let you know.
Okay. Anybody else from our commission want to say anything, or should we let the guests in?
I know we have several code enforcement officers. Can someone just explain the difference on what the code enforcement officers are enforcing? Like what is in their purview, what versus what the police? Because if the police officers are not going to go near the park, then I'm guessing the code enforcement officers are not going, in that park either.
I can take a stab. The code enforcement officers are not obviously police officers, so they enforce village codes. They can write citations for village codes. And Jason, I think, you can write some tickets in the park, correct? You're not a code enforcement person, but you have that extra.
Yeah, I do. So right now I can't technically write it, but we do have the ability, like if somebody has their dog off a leash, like I would have the ability to go up to them and tell them and potentially write them a ticket when they give me the proper tools to do that, the building department. But yes, and I believe the village manager has the authority to appoint any employee as a code enforcement, like I think Jeff has staff member. But what we won't do is we won't put ourselves in a dangerous situation. It's one thing to tell somebody to take their dog off a leash. It's another thing. I don't even know if I would per se go up to somebody that was drinking in the park, whether Harbor Island tapes or nothing, because it could be a safety issue. There's a difference between it. So you got to judge but we can handle smaller items that are safer for like a code than like a police officer would be able to handle.
Nora, isn't that something the building department's supposed to be doing? I feel like somebody told me that
the code
village enforcement officers in the building department.
Enforcement department works through the building department, and we have someone who works 5 days a week, but 2 of the days are weekend days.
So what are they doing? Are they?
There's been a lot of there have been a lot of change in staff, so but the idea with having a 5 day a week person who also works weekends. It's somebody who's familiar with all the procedures. It's not just somebody who comes in and works on weekends. It's somebody who actually is part of the building department staff. But there have been staffing issues with code enforcement officials. But I don't know if code enforcement officials would enforce those kinds of things in parks. I mean, I think to Jason's point, I'm not sure they're trained to have interactions with people at that level. So that might simply be something the police could do, but that's worth getting a better understanding of.
Right, but as far as smoking and the dogs and garbage, like, I feel like that's not something you should be calling the police for. Like, the code enforcement should be doing that.
Like, I think, Tina, I think the building department, I think Dennis is here, but I think the building department does, like, because I've seen emails like garbage in front of people's homes and like grass that's too high and things like that. Do they enforce smoking and drinking in parks? I'm not sure. I know the answer to that. And I feel like the answer is no, they don't. It's more of like buildings and ground violations. Yeah.
But I guess my question is, are they supposed to? Because I was under the impression from what somebody told me that they are supposed to, or it was added to their job description.
It could be. I don't know the answer. I think that might be an answer for the building inspector or the building department. I'm not sure what they're allowed to or what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
Jason, I'm sorry. Jason, we also spoke about adding someone to your staff at one time.
Yeah, I actually talked to Jerry over the weekend about having someone to like monitor the fields and parks like at 3 o'clock on to make sure there's proper permits and safety's being followed and smoking and things of that nature, like things that they could verbally ask someone to stop and do. So I did talk to Jerry about that. And we're going to see what we can do about getting somebody on.
What about the park rangers?
Those are under the police department. They start at 6 p.m. What they do, once again, I think that's a question for the police chief because they're hired and managed by the police department. So I'm not sure exactly if the park rangers can write tickets or what their job description is. I don't think they can write tickets.
Yeah, they report into the police department, I think, Jason, and then they dispatch out.
Yeah, I know they work at the police department. I know they work for the police department, but what do they do in terms of, do they write fines or stuff? I don't know. Good question.
No, I don't think they do, Jason.
I don't think so either.
I know I've gotten a parking ticket a long time ago from a park ranger, but maybe that's something to look into also, if their hours can be adjusted or changed. I don't know, staff, because there seems to be quite a few of them. And I know, and you've been trying to get somebody just to monitor your fields for years, and you haven't been able to find anybody to work.
It's got to be the right person, Tina. You know what I mean?
Oh, so, yes.
Yeah. You got to find someone who's able to work from 3 to 6 or 7 p.m., 5 days a week, sometimes, and it's someone who's responsible, like, so I'm trying to like find someone who recently retired, something like that. But I am, and I did talk to Jerry about it because the money is not in our budget, but hopefully we'll be able to make it. It's not a whole lot for this season.
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying because it would be helpful. But that person, that would covering the harbor alone is just that person, right? Are they going to venture out into Columbus Park and Pace Park and Florence Park and Stanley Avenue? Probably not, so.
Yeah, I think it sounds like we need to figure out, I mean, again, I don't know what we can do in our role, but if we can ensure that people are positioned in the right place, the right people are positioned in the right places to enforce the rules, or at least make the environment less likely to be a place of rule breaking, misbehavior, I don't know what you want to call it. But, and if we can make it more well lit, but I don't know what we can do as a committee aside from writing a letter and, continuing to attend meetings and bring this to attention.
Nora, do you want to let the guests speak?
Yeah, okay, I'm going to do that right now.
Thank you all for waiting, whoever you are.
Hi, thank you. I'm Laura Botti. I am part of the Traffic Commission, but I am going to speak as a resident of Washingtonville. Actually, it's not Washingtonville, it's the Flats. And I have lived here for 55 years on Washington Street, my great-grandparents' house. And on March 14th, probably 2 weeks before that, maybe 3 weeks before that, I gathered the help of the Community Resource Center, Washingtonville Housing Alliance. We had numerous amounts of people coming out to help us clean our neighborhood that we've done for the past several years. And we've done for years and years with Tony Fava. We've done it on and on. My uncle Jimmy Trifoletti, Volunteer Firehouse, everyone cleaned the Flats. And I have to say, I've never been more saddened to live somewhere than I do today. I'm embarrassed. I'm sad to call Mamaroneck my home at present. I was victimized in Papes Park at 1207 on March 14th. I was attacked by a park patron who doesn't even reside in the village of Mamaroneck. He lives in New Rochelle. The issue with Papes Park and the parks in Washingtonville is everybody is aware on this board, every single one of you know that that park has been hijacked, hoodwinked, and been allowed to be somebody else's turf other than the village of Mamaroneck's parks. It's been taken over and we need to take it back. My family was attacked in that park. I was attacked within an inch of my face by a man who served more than 7 years in prison for dealing drugs. And he is now back in the street doing the same thing he did here to get himself in the jackpot that he was in. But he was within an inch of my face, threatening me to get out of his park. And what the F was I doing in his park? And that I need to get out of it because that park was left to him and the park patrons, and I had no business being in it. But what happened was my daughter was with me and my family and my husband, and there was numerous people there at 12:07 in the afternoon on a day that there was a community cleanup in that park that we have to go into on a daily basis and clean, and that they are allowed to keep in disarray. This park is the only park in the village of Mamaroneck that is blind eye turned. That park is allowed to do what it wants, when it wants, how it wants. And there's even discussions with a subcommittee in the park to see how they are and how they're going to react to the new rules. I don't know, is it that way in any other park, that there's a subcommittee of park patrons that rule the roost? Or is it just happening at Papes Park?
What do you mean there's a subcommittee?
Well, there's a subcommittee that the chief and that others speak to in regard to explaining the rules of the violations and the code enforcing to them so they understand that. So these are park patrons that are being spoken to about adhering to rules. Now, in my mind, mind's eye, as being on a committee or a park patron, if I go into a park, normally, I go into a park for a set amount of hours, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, to enjoy the scenery, to go to the beach, to go play tennis, to go and have a organized barbecue that is permitted. But I don't go to the park at 8 o'clock in the morning and stand there all day long and defecate, urinate, sell drugs, train dogs, put up chairs, have bicycles, put up pop tents, put a van there, live out of it, speakers. It's like a glorified backyard. But to be threatened in my own park that I pay taxes for and to be told to get out of it and never to come back and that I would be handled otherwise, it's beyond unsafe down here and sad to live here in this environment. You cannot walk past that park without being harassed. You cannot walk down your own street any longer because that park has infiltrated and come down the arteries of your streets doing what they do in that park. There is prostitution at the variety store at the corner of Columbus Park. It's everywhere. And these are happening in our parks. And they're happening in our parks here. And the blind eye is being turned. But to be victimized and to be frightened and to be approached by somebody who doesn't even live in the village of Mamaroneck, and to be threatened when I'm doing community service and cleaning a park. But mind you, 3 weeks before that, what a wonderful job Jeff On and his team did to go in those parks and power wash them and clean them and plant flowers and to try to get them back up to the speed that they were at, to be saddened, to be threatened, harassed, and told not to come back into a park. I don't know what we're going to do about that. We go to the police, we ask for help. Their hands are tied, and they're in a precarious situation. But we can't allow this to go on any further. And historically, this area of town has always been left to the last ring of the ladder. Turn our eye or blind eye on it. We leave it alone. We don't listen. If this park situation was occurring at Gullies Park, or if this park situation was occurring anywhere else but here, this would have been nipped in the bud years ago. And it has not. It is past time to put cameras in the park. It is past time to change the enforcement. It is way past time to correct the parking, Nora. That parking needs to be stripped out of the front of it. We were cleaning the park just on environmental safety alone. Why are you going to sit in a park that is flanked by cars, double parked, just on a normal day? I don't care who you are, what park patron you are. You should be sitting in a park with cars idling, flanked, double parked, and you're sitting in a park. You're in a public park. There should be no parking, no cars around it. It should be clean air and free and clear. But the situation with this park in general, it's a twofold situation. So safety and environmentally, yes, you need to pull the parking away from it yesterday, but it would also open and expose that area that needs to be exposed. And we are overrun with cars. Just because people have them here doesn't mean that they should be allowed to park them wherever they need to and feel that they need to. But the light and the curtain has to be pulled on the situation, because we were threatened. We were told that we were going to be hurt. We were told to get out and never to come back. And, you know, I don't know if you could wrap your head around the gravity of this. And I hope this drives it home. This person doesn't live here. He comes from New Rochelle to patronize that park, to tell me this and to tell me to get out of a park that is his. I don't know if that's driving this nail as deep as I can to make you understand the gravity of what's happening, but it can't happen any further. And I don't know if you'd like to go over your coding and include, I don't know, a gravity of listing of rules and regulations, but if we're going to have rules and regulations, they need to go in and enforce them, period, at the end. And it can't be a fine from the Park and Recreation Department or the Board of Trustees that is not going to hit anybody in their pocket across the board. Fairly and equitably in every park. Send a clear and enticing message that it's not going to be tolerated, and we're not going to give you a warning, and we're not going to allow this to happen, whether it's at Pace Park or whether it's at Gillies Park in Orienta. It should go across the board and it should hit hard. No more passing of the buck. Oh, gee, I didn't see it. You could get 150 calls at Papes Park, and if you come across with no violations, that's the disservice that's happening here. That's the blind eye that's happening here. And I'm a fourth generation family fighting the same fight. And somehow or another, something is going to have to change, but it is getting worse, because the boldness of threatening people in a park on a community service day, when we had 50 people street to street cleaning parks and streets, is beyond frightful. And we're targeted, and now we don't want to go. We don't want to partake. I have residents now don't want to partake in clean and green because of the situation that occurred on May 14th. And I could go on about this, and I know I'm very passionate about it, but I'm very sad because this is not the neighborhood that I grew up in. And that it's a disservice because the village allowed this to occur. And somebody has to put their foot down, whether it be the committee supporting it, but before a higher courts get involved or anything of that nature, equitably across the board, cameras should go up because the way the world has changed, and to protect our law enforcement, our residents, even our park patrons. Put cameras up. If we don't have enough boots on the ground, we'll certainly have cameras to ensure that we have that safety. But we're not protecting anyone by doing nothing. My husband, Jimmy, would like to speak. I've had enough of this. I've had enough taking up of your time, but I really hope that you would comb through all of your codes and add more to it to ensure that people can understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Hey, my name is Jimmy Abadi. If you guys just give me a minute. Yeah, my wife is totally upset. You know, my family got attacked and not happy about that. I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, the bottom line is that you guys mentioned cameras. Cameras should be everywhere because the BLM, because of the camera that they had there, they were able to catch the person that defaced it, and which was a great thing. That camera at that point caught someone doing the wrong thing. So that should be across the board in all the parks because it does work and it will help the police. My other thing is this individual that attacked my family is not even a resident in Mamaroneck. You know, I mean, listen, people are allowed to go in any park. It doesn't matter where they're from. But if they're going to act in that way, then something has to be done. I know you guys, it's not in your hands to write summonses or whatever, but whatever you can pass on to the board and to the mayor and to the police that something changed now, I think it's really important that we make that decision as a community. And we're asking you guys for help. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there somebody else, Nora?
No, no one else's hand is raised.
Okay. Does anybody from the committee have anything else that they wanted to add?
I just want to say thank you for speaking with us and communicating. We all agree with you, and we definitely want to make sure that we can do whatever this committee can do to alleviate this issue.
Yeah, Tina, maybe that email that you draft up to send out, maybe we should include cameras there as a suggestion for the parks.
Yeah, the only thing is I really just want to make sure the parking is handled right away. I think I'd rather just send that, and then we can maybe come up with other suggestions and send something else separately.
Okay. All right.
And Nora, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Cameras are in the works.
Yeah, there are some cameras in the works. And
we're finally getting them throughout the community. It's not going to be only the parks.
So we can ask the chief about that. But yeah, and Jerry. But yes. So you might not even have to write that part of the letter. I think the parking is really.
Yeah, I want to make sure the parking gets addressed right away, especially with the upcoming book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, I know we all agree, but we don't know what we can do. Like, what do you suggest, Nora? Like, is there any? I don't know.
I mean, I know this has been brought to the attention of the chief, and I think the parking is a concrete suggestion that we can probably accomplish pretty quickly. I think that's probably a no-brainer, and I think we simply just on it, keep talking with the police and the police chief, and see, what kind of help they need in doing their jobs. What do they need from us?
It's fucking sad.
I would just say that the chief is, I mean, myself and Jeff speak with Chief DeRuza multiple times a week, sometimes together, sometimes separate, but the chief is fully aware and is doing everything she can do, working with us, working with our officers to try. So it's not like it's something that people aren't aware about.
Right, Jason. And, you know, being proactive is the way to go. It's just, you know, we don't want to see any casualties at this point. I think in the last 2 years, we had 2 yellow caution lights now, right? Let's not get to the red one.
So I am going to, as soon as possible, send an email about changing the parking. I feel like maybe we can come up with suggestions, like some have been mentioned already tonight. And maybe we can just put something else in writing as, here are some suggestions that we've come up with.
Tina, you know,
yeah.
As well as I do, removing the cars is a great idea, but you know as well as I do, and we probably all have done it, where there's, you know, a spot and you just running in to go get a coffee, you're going to park there, okay? And no one's going to tell me anything differently. So once that car is there, those signs go up, will say no parking from here to corner, you're going to need the enforcement again, whether if it's a police officer or the meter guys, someone's got to get down there and just start ticketing them and sending the message, you know, the rules and regulations.
Fine, Carlo, because one of my notes I have written in front of me is to ask for more parking enforcement officers to drive by, because there's always cars parked illegally now,
right.
even parking
right.
there.
Right.
Yes. No, there's some more questions on. That's it. We're done.
I don't know how to come up with a list of all the suggestions. Like, should we email, or are we allowed to do that through email, Nora, or we have to meet?
You know what? I mean, one of the, you know, technically you're not supposed to deliberate through
or can
email.
We do?
But I think if everybody emailed their suggestions to Tina, she could compile them.
Okay.
You know,
or I was going to ask her.
The minute we close this Zoom, 3 people are going to have ideas.
Well, right, but is it worth like a subcommittee to come up with something, or just send?
You designate 2 people to, you know, to come up to complete the email, but, you know, I mean, somebody can come up with I would just err on the side of caution, and, you know, you might have 5 ideas and 3 of them are great and 2 of them aren't great, but you can present them. I mean, it's better to do that than to try and have another meeting in the next month. We want to do this.
Well, yeah. And I think that it will be too late by then.
Yeah. So I think just if anybody has an idea that they're like, oh, I should have thought of that, send it to Tina.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody could still hear me before I sign off, but sitting parks and like parks like Harbor Island that have permits and there are games taking place, when you get into like sitting parks and like a park like Gillies Park in Orienta, that's very far and away and hidden behind woods, behind somebody's home. Mm-hmm. What about changing the hours to those parks and bringing them down to like the 7 o'clock hour instead of the 10 o'clock hour? So enforcement becomes a little bit more controlled, because there are no lights or swings in some of those parks, and some of them have street lights, yes, but they are sitting parks. And it's better if we don't have enough staff to be on the ground to manage, and we're having these issues, why not shrink some of those hours to get a better control? It's just a thought, and I'm not just saying from my own area, but there are other areas in the village that have parks in similarity that don't have that much foot traffic, or shouldn't have that much foot traffic at that point in time. It might be just a suggestion to maintain some sort of balance.
Is the phrase dawn to dusk? So you don't have to worry.
Because there's no finality in that. You cannot enforce that. If you're going to give a ticket to somebody, you can't say it's dusk. The dusk varies. It's got to be a time limit. Okay, 7 o'clock, 7:01, you get a ticket. Bye.
I think though we use that phrase in some of our parks. Is that right, Jason? No? Okay.
No,
everything's 10 p.m.
We tried that phrase, and it's kind of hard to define it.
Okay.
But it's also hard to, you know, shut down a park when it's, you know, 7 o'clock on a July night. So like, I think all the parks are 10, but it's open for discussion on what, you know, anything's open for discussion.
I mean, that area is also hard. It's a sidewalk, basically. It's not, to me, it doesn't look like a park. So you can't close, how do you even close it? You know what I mean?
There's no fence. So
right.
I don't know. It's like another gray enforcement area on, you know, standing on the sidewalk or on the grass or what, you know.
Well, any sidewalk that is abutting to a park is part of the park.
Yeah,
any park that has a time frame of closure is closed.
I wrote down your suggestion. I'll add that too.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything? Okay, so if everybody can email me, maybe I'll wait. What's today's Wednesday? Maybe I'll wait till next Wednesday.
Do it.
Can you just remind us of your email?
Tina's?
Yeah, Tina's. I'm not getting the, you know,
yeah, Cindy, I have your personal, but we're not supposed to email from personal emails, right?
I know. I'm not connected to the Parks and Rec yet for some reason. I'm going to fix that this week.
Is it okay, Nora, that if she emails me from her personal to my VOM?
I mean, we're not supposed to, but if there isn't any other way of doing it, I don't know what else to say, you know. I mean, try to call Cliff and get on the village email because they're really...
I know, I've tried it like 3 times. I'll try again.
Okay, all right, well, I'm
just going to go there this week and figure out, you know, whatever I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are some people who are having problems with it. Some people can't use it from their work emails, you know. They can use it from a home computer, but not the work computers. Our agenda will get set next Wednesday, so it would be good. I will ask to be put on, but if we get there by Wednesday is okay because Dan can put it as backup.
Well, I'm going to try to send tomorrow the email about the parking.
Okay, great.
I'm talking about gathering all the suggestions to send as a separate email. Do you need that before the meeting?
You know, as long as it can be put on as backup by next Friday. So I'll just tell Dan it's coming.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, just the parking one is important. So I'm going to do my best to send that tomorrow, but.
Thanks. Okay. I'm making it.
Go ahead. Were you saying something, Nora?
Oh no, I'm just making a note so I don't forget. Sorry.
Okay, so if nobody has anything else, I will make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, and I'll look for your emails.
Have a great summer.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a great
enjoy.
summer.
Have a good one,
Bye.
everybody.
Okay.
Bye. Enjoy. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.